the second part of verse 5, Yeshua commanding them, saying, into the way of the nations. This is the word for roads. So don't travel the way of the nations. Don't enter in. Don't go that way. And also into the city of the Samaritans, do not enter. So two things. Don't travel the way the Gentiles go, and don't go into the cities of the Samaritans. Now, some would say, don't leave Israel and don't minister to, at this time, the Samaritans. The Samaritans were individuals that had turned away from scriptural authority, turned away from the full counsel of God, and embraced a pagan tradition, mixing it with some of the things of Judaism, but not all. They were a confused people that had rejected the authority of Jerusalem. And because of that, we see here, don't go the roads of the nations, don't go into the cities of the Samaritans, but rather, he says, in the first word here is the word day, in contrast to that. He's got something different. In contrast to that, he says, rather go to, and here it is, the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now, it's very important that we hear this. And as we'll see, especially next week and the weeks to come, as we move forward in chapter 10, we're going to see hints, clues within the text, what the theologians would call hermeneutical aids. And these hints and clues point to the last days, the end times. And what should the reader take away from the text? That God is going to work mightily in Israel with the Jewish people in the last days. And this is foundational for the kingdom to be established. Don't believe the lie of many, that God has replaced Israel, that he has substituted Israel, that there's no longer a relevance to that land, the land of Israel, or the Jewish people in a unique way. That is false teaching. The prophets don't agree with such a theology. No, God is going to keep covenant. Now, there's not a way different for a Jewish people to enter into the kingdom than a Gentile. It's the gospel for humanity. There's only one. Any other teaching about the kingdom is a false gospel that's really not good news, and that's what the word gospel means. But Israel's going to play a foundational role in the establishment of the kingdom, and this is going to be seen as we move forward in chapter 10. But look here now at our text. He says, go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as you go, you proclaim, saying that the kingdom of heaven is near. Now, what is this telling us? It's telling the reader that there's a kingdom. It exists in the heaven. And that kingdom that resides in the heavens is coming to earth. That's why Messiah is returning. And we're going to see in the weeks to come, in this 10th chapter, there's going to be an emphasis on the return of Messiah. What he's going to do when he comes the second time for the purpose of establishing the kingdom of God. And we're going to learn as well other clues from the text that helps us get ready for those last days. So he says, as you go, proclaim, saying the kingdom of heaven is near. And then in verse 8, we see four things, uniquely four. Why four? Well, he's speaking, this message is to the lost sheep of Israel, but it has implications for all the world. Realize, Israel is a vessel of God, created supernaturally for a purpose. And that purpose is to bless the nation, to bring in God's truth, his power, his authority into this world, so that potentially, all the families of the earth can be blessed. Now, will all the families? No, but God's provided atonement, redemption for all of them. But to access that, to receive that, one has to act in faith. And what faith are we talking about? Receiving the gospel, acknowledging one's sinfulness, and believing in what Messiah did upon that cross, the shedding of blood, that he died on that cross but rose from the dead on the third day, showing victory. That's the message for humanity, Jew and Gentile alike, for salvation. And we're to see what the outcome of our study. Look at verse he says to do.